CS is a prime example of how the enthusiasm of just two people transformed the gaming industry, and from a simple mod the project grew to colossal proportions. In the early 2000s, CS was more than just entertainment. Millions of players gathered in computer clubs to compete against each other. From then until today, CS remains incredibly popular, though it continues to be a topic of discussion in the gaming community. Recently I released a video where I recreated the iconic Assault map. If you haven't seen it yet, be sure to check it out. In the comments, many asked for the equally iconic Mansion map. By the way, I used to call it Mansion as a kid. Comment if you called it that too. Unlike Assault, the Mansion map was in CS since beta version 1.0. It lasted until version 1.6, after which it was removed because many players found it unbalanced. Even though the modern CS doesn't have this map, the memory of it and the vibe of that time will forever remain in the hearts of millions of players. So let's find out how the Mansion map would look in 2025. First, I started creating the layout. For accuracy, I extracted the original map from the game, which takes just 2 clicks. I began with the mansion. Once the exterior was ready, I moved on to modeling the interior spaces. Then I focused on the exterior facade design. I added pilasters, which create an aristocratic ambience. Next, I placed a balustrade and added texture to the house, separating the facade's base with dark decorative brick. After that, I added columns and designed the window openings. Then I installed moldings between floors and visually expanded the house. I also installed drain pipes, added stain decals, and placed a massive wooden front door. Then I placed a fence. After that, I created a surface and added a tile texture. And of course, a fountain that adorns the mansion's courtyard. Next, I added small flower beds and trimmed shrubs, just like on the original map. Then I placed a wooden annex. The mansion map had nighttime lighting, but I decided to change it a bit to add more drama. So for lighting, I chose a cloudy, rainy autumn evening, which highlights the scene's atmosphere and creates a mood of autumn melancholy. I added an HDRI map of a cloudy sky. Made the shadows soft and the lighting cold. Also added a bit of fog. Then I placed trees with yellow foliage on the mansion's grounds and beyond. On the left, I placed a gazebo and added puddles on the tiles and ground. Next, I added a few more small details for ambiance. In the background, I decided to place neighboring private houses instead of the high rises that were on the original map. Then I added street lamps and curbs along the paved area. To emphasize the autumn mood, I added a lot of fallen leaves to the scene. Next to the annex, I placed a pile of leaves and added several environmental details: a ladder, wires, and barrels. On the original mansion map, the SWAT spawn point was a small dead end and looked more like a formality than an organic part of the environment. So I decided to rethink this space, adding logic and visual harmony. I placed fences belonging to neighboring properties, then added asphalt. Using Boolean operations, I made holes for the sewer shaft. After that, I laid fences along neighboring plots to create a visual continuation of the map. Next, I added a manhole cover, a safety barrier, and a utility van, which will serve as the dead end. On the opposite side, I placed a SWAT van. In the background, I placed trees, scattered leaves, added small details like wires and surveillance cameras. And of course, graffiti for more atmosphere. Then I worked on the hole in the wall. Using Boolean operations, I made this hole. Added rebar pieces for detail and scattered brick debris. Also placed wall lamps. Now the SWAT spawn point looks like a natural part of the area, maintaining gameplay functionality while better fitting the overall map design. Next, I worked on the mansion's interior, keeping it in an aristocratic style. I decided to keep the overall atmosphere and layout as on the original map. Except for the staircase to the second floor, I doubled the number of steps. Almost all interior elements, including baseboards, moldings, door frames, and railings, are made of mahogany. For the walls, I used 2 colors of wallpaper, dividing them with molding. Then I hung a large painting, just like in the original, and added curtains. Next, I worked on decorating the room. I installed a bookshelf, wall lamps, paintings, a rug, nightstands, a desk, and a chair. I also added many small details. I filled the bookshelf with books. And to make the interior look more varied and lively, I added trophies. I did the same with the other rooms. All that's left is to create a sewer channel to sneak onto the mansion grounds. A long time ago, back in school days when I played in computer clubs, it was called differently in each place. What did you call it? Write in the comments. I started modeling the sewer shaft. Honestly, I'm not sure if such structures exist in private sectors, but I decided to make it like in the movies, especially since it fits perfectly with the shooter atmosphere. After that, I added brick material. I created barriers like in the original so players couldn't see each other. I placed dead ends at both ends of the shaft. Then I laid out the pipeline system and started adding small details so the interior wouldn't look sterile. Next, I placed dirt and stain decals to enhance the atmosphere. The finishing touch was the lamps that add lighting. Before I show you the result, I ask you to like this video and leave a comment for promotion. Alright guys, let's go, I created it. Take your position and wait for my signal. Thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see each other very soon. Bye.